The long-standing crusade by a coalition of civil society activists and think tanks for a credible electoral alternative in Nigeria got a huge shot in the arm early last week when they all converged on the platform of Nigeria's Labour Party to hold a successful presidential primary election. The high point of that exercise was the nomination of former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, as its presidential candidate for the 2023 general election. Obis' emergence as Labour's presidential standard-bearer came just a few days after he resigned his membership of the main opposition People's Democratic Party, citing widespread abuse of campaign financing regulations. We will now proceed to have a conversation with Julius Abure, who is the national chairman of the Labour Party, about the new positive energy around the party, in addition to how much political capital it can derive from the ongoing groundswell, among other things. Good morning, Mr. Abure. Good to have you join us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and congrats.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
You're welcome. And congratulations on the success of your convention. Former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, emerged as your flag bearer. Tell us how this come about, given the fact that he had barely spent, few days with Labour Party. Is that the way Labour runs? Somebody leaves another party, and in 3-4 days, he picks your ticket. Did you design it, or was that just, coincidental? How did he emerge as the party's flag bearer?
Well, all what we have done was in line with the party guidelines and the party constitution. The founding fathers of our party and the National Executive Council of our party previously designed a guideline that for people who can add value to the party, even if they were not members of the party, the party constitution and the guidelines provide a waiver provision for such people. And it was that window that we utilized in admitting Peter Obi to the party, and he eventually emerged as the presidential flag bearer of the party. Over the past few months, we have tried to reposition the party because we realize that the two parties, the two ruling parties, that is the PDP, two ruling parties, that is PDP and APC, were failing, and we decided to strategically position the Labour Party for effective performance so that it can be an alternative to others. We realized that the country was not moving in the right direction. You will agree with me that as we speak today, insecurity has taken over the country. People are killed on a daily basis. From the length and breadth of the country, people are killed. The economy is also not doing well. We are not even talking about healthcare and otherwise. The constitution of Nigeria is very clear that the main purpose or the principal purpose of government is to provide security and welfare for its citizens. Nigerians today are not even asking for welfare. We are simply saying protect and preserve our lives. A government that cannot provide the minimum requirement for the people, you will agree with me that has failed. And it is because of all of this we decided to reposition the party and strategically position it for effective performance. And in the quest of this, we were in search of right-thinking Nigerians who have the innovative ideas, who have what it takes to be able to rescue the country from collapse. And our doors were opened. We strategically opened the door for those Nigerians that we believe will be able to drive the process of development for the country, and then so that we can give them the platform to be able to come on board, so that we can all join hands together to recover the country and reposition it for greatness. And so Peter Obi's coming was strategic, and we are happy that he's a flag bearer today. And his coming to the party has brought fortune to the party. It has given Nigerians hope. A lot of Nigerians who had no hope now have hope. And if you see the upsurge of members that we now have in the party since he's joining the party, you will agree that we didn't make mistake in allowing him to come to the party and pick the party's ticket. We believe very strongly that among the array of politicians that are contesting for the 2023 general election, Peter Obi appears to be the best, and in fact is the best, going by his antecedents, going by his track record as the governor of Anambra State, his antecedent in the banking sector, his antecedent even in his private life, his character, his behavior, his transparent behavior, his antecedent speaks volume. And I think that at this stage of our history, at this stage of our development in Nigeria, it is people like Peter Obi that we need to be in the saddle of leadership so that we can reposition the country for greatness. The country is indeed blessed with natural and human resources. We therefore have no reason whatsoever to witness the kind of maladministration, the kind of situation we find ourselves in terms of poverty, hunger, and unemployment that is ravaging the country. We therefore believe that we need the likes of Peter Obi and many other Nigerians who have distinguished themselves in various spheres of life and even in governance. And we believe that the likes of Peter Obi and many more that we are likely going to admit to the party will be able to work very hard, rescue the country, reposition the country for greatness so that our citizens, the future of the country, can be guaranteed. A lot of young Nigerians have no hope. There is despair all over because of the way the country has been poorly managed. And therefore, we need men of goodwill, men that have the ideas to be able to bring the country together, bring both the North, South, all the ethnic multinational the peoples of Nigeria together in order for us to be a one country and then be able to drive the process of growth and development. We need a unifier, somebody whom all Nigerians, whether from the North, from the South, from the East, we believe in. And we believe that Peter Obi is one of the best for now. And this is why we didn't waste time. All members of the party unanimously agreed that he should be the flag bearer. Before Peter Obi's coming, we already have some aspirants in the party. You can, as you saw in the convention, people willingly, without compulsion, decided to step down for Peter Obi. The likes of Peter Otomi, who in his own right could have even been the presidential candidate, willingly gave up the race and supported Peter Obi. And the host of others stepped down for him. And today he's the flag bearer of the party. And like I said, we have no regret whatsoever in allowing him to fly the party's ticket. Today, Nigerians are happy. All shades of people in business, politicians, students, name it, are all happy with that decision to provide a platform for Peter Obi to run.
On Friday, your party denied that factions exist within its leadership. You have described the crisis as a creation of propaganda. But there is a lawsuit challenging the legality of your leadership and that of Akingbade Oyelakin, filed by Callistus Okafor, a former deputy national chairman of the party, who says he's a factional leader of the party. And on Monday, the Federal High Court in Abuja ordered that your party and some of its executives be served with the lawsuit. Now, are you saying you're unaware of this lawsuit?
Well, I'm aware of the lawsuit because it has been served on us on Friday. Our lawyers are handling it. Like you rightly observed, he was deputy chairman of the party in 2014, and that tenure has since expired. And because of the coming of Peter Obi, I'm sure that's why he will need some attention. He's just one of those persons who are seeking for attention. And our lawyers will handle it appropriately. It's not a serious issue. We'll deal with it appropriately in the courts. Our lawyers are already handling it. And we are not threatened by that at all because he has been expelled from the party in 2017. We have had the NEC meeting in 2018. We have had convention in 2019. We have had another NEC meeting in 2021. And therefore, we have passed that stage. And but it's a good thing. People can go to court. It's a normal democratic process. In every thriving democracy, people who are aggrieved are free to go to court. So we will meet him in court. Our lawyers are already handling it. And I'm sure that case is dead on arrival. I can say so categorically.
All right, Mr. Abure, I like your optimism. But then let me stay with what is obvious. I'm sure you're aware of series of calls by supporters of Mr. Peter Obi asking him that with the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar in PDP, they're asking that Peter Obi should reconsider his exit from the PDP and that it might be a better chance for him if he runs again as a running mate to Atiku Abubakar. Do you foresee a likelihood of Peter Obi dumping you midway and returning to PDP, as a vice presidential candidate? But if he stays, and I believe, of course, that will be your prayer, if he stays, how much of a structure do you have in the party? At the 2019 elections, nationally, you had less than 10,000 votes. And people say that it is structure that wins elections for party. Now you have a big name, but then he's also a big name with limited structure. Outside of Anambra State, perhaps outside of, the Southeast, Peter Obi may not be, one of the top contenders as far as structures are concerned. How will you assist him in spreading across the country, where you have less, very minimal presence in the Northeast, in the Northwest, in the Southwest, in the North Central, for example? How will this pan out, given your not too impressive outing during the 2019 elections?
Well, it is because of I want to approach the questions from the point from which you anchor the question. Well, I do not see Peter Obi dumping Labour Party to be a vice presidential candidate to Atiku Abubakar. Peter Obi is a man of his words. I'm sure he has done his critical analysis before he left the PDP to join the Labour Party. I'm sure he has done his critical analysis, and I've seen that Nigerians generally are tired of PDP, are tired of APC, and that they need an alternative. And they need people who are credible, people who have the ideas, who will be able to turn the fortune of the country around. And I'm sure that's why he took that decision. That decision he took, he didn't take it by accident. I'm sure he must have also examined the option of Atiku Abubakar emerging as president and so on and so forth before he took that decision to join the Labour Party. And I say today that Peter Obi stands the best of chances in terms of winning the 2023 general election. Today, there is this clamor that there should be a power shift from the north to the south and the southeast, for example. People have argued, which we have also argued at the party level, that in terms of fairness, in terms of equity, in terms of justice, it is incumbent, it is most appropriate for the president to come from the southern part of Nigeria, more particularly from the southeast. And that was why the party didn't waste time in even zoning the presidency to the southeast. And Peter Obi at this time stands the best of chance to become the president of Nigeria. So I do not foresee, and I'm sure it's not in the thinking of Obi, to consider the option of going back to PDP and become the vice presidential candidate. That would not be good for his image. His popularity, his image, his political standing will be destroyed if he decides to do that. Because across the country, from the north to the south, across the federation, he has teeming supporters who believe that he should be the president of Nigeria. And those people will be very disappointed to see him go back to his vomit and going to work with Atiku Abubakar as vice presidential candidate. So I do not foresee it, and I'm sure, too, very strongly, that Peter Obi will not consider that. I don't think it will be in his best interest to do that. And I'm very, very sure, I can say so categorically and clearly, too, that that option is not an option he will consider. I'm very, very sure and confident of that. We're already strategizing of how to win the 2023 general election. He's very close to the presidency. I'm very sure of that. He's sure of it, and I'm sure that he's also having that ambience that come 2023 is the next president of Nigeria. Now, you raise the issue of structure. It is pertinent to state very clearly that it is human beings that make up structure. Today, as we speak, Nigerians are tired of the ruling APC and PDP. And today, democracy, after all, what is democracy? Democracy is government by the people, for the people, and by the people. It is the people that determines the structure of a political party. And I want to say very clearly, from the feelers we are getting across the country, people are tired of APC and PDP. And that's why you see massive movements across the country into the Labour Party. The party is growing on a daily basis. It is expanding. Structures are expanding. Structures are growing across the federation, across the north to the south. 2 days back, people have donated offices to the Labour Party in the northern part of the country. As we speak, people have donated over 5 offices to the Labour Party from the north. The structure have always been there. We have always had structures across the country. Of course, you know that Labour Party is also a national party that spreads across the country. It's not a regional party. And therefore, we have always had this structure. But you know, it is finances and resources that you use to galvanize the structure, nourish the structure, and keep it going. And with the coming of Peter Obi, people are dumping other political parties. Those who never believed in political parties are joining. Students are joining. A lot of Nigerians who feel that Labour Party will become the alternative are joining, and the structure is getting stronger in the day. I can assure you that the other political parties, APC and PDP, will be witnessing diminishing returns in terms of their structure, and Labour Party will be the party to beat. I can assure you of that. And I want you to write down to this note. You must take note of this interview today, that I said so, that the structure of the Labour Party is strong and strong enough with what we can see today to produce the next president of Nigeria.
All right, Mr. Abure, as Steve said earlier, we can only admire your optimism and confidence. But now let's look at manifesto priorities. Your party candidate, Peter Obi, had highlighted his main priority to be education. Now, the current stats we have on out-of-school children in Nigeria is about 18.5 million. What specific plans will a Peter Obi administration devise to boost the accessibility of to education if he does come into power?
Well, for us in Labour Party, education is key to development. Like you noted, in the northern part of the country, the number of out-of-school children have skyrocketed. And it means that for us to change that tide, there must be a deliberate effort to ensure that these children who are outside the street are brought back to school and be properly educated so that they can be of use to the country. For us in Labour Party, we believe, and we are going to push this program, that it's not just enough to provide free and basic education for children. We must also find a way to ensure that these children are in school and do what they are supposed to do. And to that extent, the Labour Party will be pushing for criminalization and punishment of parents who will not encourage their own children to be in school. we are going to devise deliberate policy to ensure that it's not just enough to say that children must be in school. We must be able to create the enabling environment to ensure that students are in school. And in that part of the country, the northern part, we will advocate a situation where there will be criminalization of parents, there will be punishment for parents who do not allow their children to be in school. We must ensure that students who ought to be in school are in school. Students or children who are of school age, who ought to be in school, must be in school. We saw what President Goodluck Jonathan did by creating the emergency schools in the north, where the enabling environment was provided. Those children were removed from the streets, and we are all in school. I'm sure the Labour Party will look at some of those policies, look at them critically, and then ensure that all students who ought to be in school will actually be in school.
All right. Now, so, there is this general saying that, we need a lot of money to become Nigeria's president. What do you say to those that say Peter Obi does not have the war chest to win a presidential election? And how does your party intend to raise funds to support his campaign?
Well, the Labour Party has enormous goodwill. And as I speak to you today, I have been inundated with calls from across the country of well-meaning Nigerians who want to contribute to the campaign fund of Peter Obi. I have got calls from Nigerians across the globe, from US, from America, Britain, name it, across the countries, across the globe, who are willing to make contributions to the campaign funds of Peter Obi. I'm very, very sure that funding will not be a very, very serious problem. Even within Nigeria here, a lot of persons, a lot of individuals, a lot of corporate organizations have indicated their interest to support Peter Obi and to support the Labour Party. People are asking me for account numbers for which they can make donations as we speak. Immediately, Peter Obi emerged as the presidential candidate of the party. We started getting calls, several calls, from people who are willing to contribute to the campaign funds of Peter Obi. I agree with you entirely that you need a lot of funding, but I want to say very clearly that we have a lot of goodwill. Peter Obi also has a lot of goodwill, and I'm sure that all of this goodwill will translate into our victory in 2023. As I speak with you, we have had a lot of volunteers. People are ready to volunteer their vehicles. People are ready to volunteer their offices. People are ready to volunteer themselves to the services of Labour Party and to Peter Obi. So there are several areas where others will be spending money. We will not spend money in getting those things done. As I speak with you now, this morning now, there are a lot of youth who are in our offices already, asking us what they can offer, what can they do for us. Some are ready to use their phones, some are ready to do several other things. Some persons have offered to set up even radio stations, television stations, in order to further the campaign of Peter Obi. So we are very sure that funding will not be a major challenge.
All right, Mr. Abure, before we let you go, just one quick question from me. Can you give us an idea of who the running mate to Mr. Peter Obi will be, and where will he come from? I assume that it won't be Professor Patutomi who stepped down for him, given that they are both from the south. Are you prospecting somebody from the north? And then lastly, what is Labour Party's position and relationship with the Nigerian Labour Congress now? You are meant to be the Workers' Party, but I'm aware that in 2018, you had a series of altercations with the leadership of the NLC. Where are you now with the Nigerian Labour Congress?
For the Nigerian Labour Congress, I'm sure that your correspondence followed us on May Day. We had some disagreement with Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress. And we have sat down and we have resolved all our issues. At the May Day, I was present in that May Day as the national chairman of Labour Party, and I presented an address where I told the Nigerian workers that we have put our differences apart in the interest of the country and in the interest of the party. As we speak to you today, we are united. The Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress are major nucleus of the party. The deputy chairman of the party is from the Nigeria Labour Congress. Another deputy is from the Trade Union Congress. We have put our differences apart. And in the convention where Peter Obi emerged, the president of the Trade Union Congress himself was present and had the privilege of addressing the convention. Ayuba Waba, the president of NLC, is out of the country, is in Geneva, attending ILO meetings, and he graciously sent 4 persons from the Nigeria Labour Congress to represent him. He was represented by the vice president of Congress and the chairperson of the Women Commission and a host of others. The Delta State chapter of the NLC and the TUC mobilized 300 workers each, and they were present at the convention where Peter Obi emerged. So we realized the fact that division will not help us. We realized the fact that Nigeria needs an alternative political platform, and therefore we, both at the party level and at the level of the Trade Union Congress, we are united in this cause. We are ready to, we have put our differences apart, and we are now together. Ayuba Waba and the Trade Union Congress president will be on this campaign train with us. And that is why I also mentioned to you that structure will not be a problem to us. Trade Union Congress, NLC, have the political commission wing, which have established chapters in all states of the federation, local government, ward, and even at the unit. As we speak today, the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress have their cells across the federation, and they are working very closely with the Labour Party. And therefore, we are one and united, one and indivisible organization, and we are very, very good to go.
Okay, so the vice presidential, the running mate, you didn't mention anything.
Yes, you know, the Constitution has given the powers to the presidential candidate to appoint his running mate. It is the prerogative of Mr. Peter Obi to appoint his running mate, but I'm very sure that his running mate will come from the north, because in terms of the practice usually is that if the president comes from the south, the southern part, the vice president obviously must come from the northern part. So I'm very sure that the vice presidential candidate will come from the north. But like I said,
no name comes to mind yet. No name comes to mind yet.
It is the prerogative of the president, the presidential candidate, to appoint his running mate. And it's not in my place as national chairman to begin to pontificate and to give you names of who he's likely to pick. But Peter Obi is a very rational, pragmatic, and proactive person, and I'm sure that his running mate will also parade the same credentials as he is. Awolowo said, it is only the deep that can call the deep. So it's only an intellectual that will also appreciate an intellectual, and will appreciate that the worth of an intellectual. So Peter Obi, no doubt, will give us a pragmatic, dynamic, intelligent, result-oriented vice presidential candidate.
All right, Mr. Julius Abure, the deep calls out to the deep. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we wish your party and Mr. Peter Obi the very best in the coming elections.